Everybody have the editorials with you? Okay. So anyone can tell me why we are reading the editorials? How important have what's the relevance for the exam? Why we are reading the editorials? Everybody is from the Hindu Express is reading these editorials. What are the relevance? Insights किसका? That you can also see it from any of the coaching website. Experts' opinion for the comprehension and CSET. ठीक है. I added the CSET, but we are adding for the comprehension. Anybody? Okay. Before starting, let's see the relevance. Why we are doing it. It should be an exercise whenever you are reading anything from your syllabus. Either it's a geography optional, either it's a general study, or it's a current affairs. So, what is the relevance of the editorials? So, let's start with the CSET first. Everybody is seeing the paper of the CSET. It's had almost the 28 to 29s reading comprehension. These reading comprehension are directly from the editorials of the different newspapers. There are the different situations they are giving you in the paper. Then you need to give the answers on the basis of these paragraphs. What we can get from the editorials? Number one, speed of reading. If you are reading the editorials on a daily basis, your reading speed in the CSET comprehension part will be very high as compared to those who are not reading these editorials on a daily basis. Second, understanding. If you are reading the editorials, then your understanding will be better. Means if you go through the one issue several times, like the Indian Bangladesh and electronic manufacturing, these issue will be continue till the next year, and you will read 3-4 times these issue. Means you are comfortable with the topics, and you're seeing the same topics into the CSET. Then again, you are easily to understand, and you can you will take very less time to answer the question. As the level of the CSET is increasing every year, this year the highest level of the CSET. So this is the important part for the CSET perspective. Now come to the mains perspective, how it is relevant in the mains. Number one, it will help you to develop your skills. Those who are watching the video कि आज हिंदू में ये editorials आया है और इसमें ये बताया गया. That's the idea of the those who telling you, but it's not your idea because you are not reading the editorials. ये किसी ने आपको बता दिया कि इंडिया बांग्लादेश में 5 रिलेशन है और आपने वो सुन लिया. But where is your opinion? How you will develop your opinion? If the situation is different in the examination, if they're asking any of the question different from the editor are telling the coaching institutes or any of the teacher are telling to you, how you will decode that situation in the paper. So reading the editorial by yourself and developing a skill will help you in writing the essay, will help you writing the mains answer, will help you to take the more enriched content for your answer writing. We can take the good introduction. If we are reading the editorials, there is a flow in the editorials. They start with something good data. Maybe they are starting with some of the case study. They are giving some of the relevant examples of the neighborhood country, or they are giving the best manufacturing practice of any of the other things. So we can note down those introduction directly, and we can quote these introduction directly into the paper. This will save our time in the paper, and we are quoting the introduction of an expert in the answers, जो हम सोच नहीं सकते until and unless we are reading the editorials. Third part is a case study. Today we will go through a case study in the electronic manufacturing articles. There is a case study of Vietnam. If you're not reading these kind of the editorials, you will not able to write a relevant case study in your answer. If you're not writing the relevant case study, you will get below average marks, means 20% to 35% marks in your answer. As the competition is increasing day by day in this exam, so writing skills and the quoting of the examples, quoting of the case study, quoting of the data is required in your answer. then only you can get the marks in between 50% to 60%. That is the highest given by the UPSC. The third is the case study that you can take it from the editorial and you can use in your answer writing. And अगर इन सबको मिला के बताऊं तो content enrichment. That is the content enrichment. Finally, this will help you in the form of the making a content. Like there are two editorial today we have. One is the India and Bangladesh. Means we are doing a relation between the neighboring country. If you are reading this article, there are the 5-6 relations. Economic relations, relation related to the river dispute, maybe the some of the power supply issue and the boundary issue as well. In this editorial, there is a name of the 10 rivers. And those 10 rivers are the more important for your prelim perspective. In the prelims paper, there is no randomness. The things are coming in the news. They're asking those things in the one way or the another way. If we are taking the examples of these rivers, these are not given in your books. The expert who are writing about the India-Bangladesh relation, they're taking up those content that is not easily available. You can note down these rivers. And so this is also relevant for your prelims perspective. And the best thing is this one. आपको dependent रहने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. You can read on your own. Once you learn how to decode an editorial, how to take information from an editorials, and after taking the information, the big task is how to use. How to use this information. Everybody is reading the newspaper. Even on the roadside, you can see some of the students are reading the paper. Even in the stairs, you will find some of them are also reading the paper. But what is the content of that paper where we are going to use? That is a question mark. If you don't understand how to use the content, then the content is irrelevant for you. You are burdening yourself and you are wasting your time. So you are getting the content in the market in a ready-made form. Then why you are wasting your time? So main idea is how to use. You will find the usage of these articles. We will let you know how to use these data, how to decode the editorials, and how to read in between the lines to check what's the exactly the editorial is giving. How to take out the case study from the editorials, how to take the relevant data from the editorials, and how to use those data case study in the relevant questions. So these are the idea behind these classes. Okay. So there are the two editorials. The first we will do the electronic manufacturing in India. Everybody have this editorial? Okay. So this is a 3-4 page editorials. In this editorial, when you are reading, I will give you the 15 minutes. Okay. I will give you the 15-20 minutes maximum. You will read this editorial and you will mark up the important point. You can think it is suitable for your examination. It's maybe the point of the PLI. It may be the incentives of the Vietnam. It may be related to the China that you need to be marked. And some of you also tell me where to use these kind of the content. Okay. So let's start reading these editorials. And now the time is 2:35 and you have a time till 2:50. If anybody have any doubts regarding the reading, you can directly ask me. Please don't sit and waste your time. Please read the editorial. अदरवाइज मैं अब बता दूंगा अभी आपको 10 मिनट में क्या एडिटोरियल्स में, लेकिन जब तक आप खुद से नहीं पढ़ेंगे, यू आर नॉट डेवलपिंग योर स्किल व्हाट इज इन द एडिटोरियल्स, देन it is like again and again I'm telling you again and again the same thing. Okay, so read the editorial first. Yes, electronic part. If you see the first line given here, with the 20% of the global workforce taking the fair share of the electronic markets will mean a target of $400 billion equal to the all merchandise exports together can create a 20 million direct job. इससे बेहतरीन introduction नहीं हो सकता. And you even cannot think if you are not reading the editorial. You will also get the last month editorial list, the 21 editorial we covered in our gadget. You will find the list in your Telegram with the explanation. And each editorial is followed by a mains question. So you can also try to write those questions. Yes, aspirant, you need to be note down some of the facts. You think it is important for your examination, so you can also note down. This editorial is from the Financial Express. There's a one short form in the second, third paragraph, EMC. What does it mean? EMC. In the last side, in the third, fourth paragraph, there's a small is not beautiful is the subheading, and there's a short form EMC. What does it mean? Electronic Manufacturing Cluster. Special Economic Zone. In the second page, there is a bill named Desh Bill. The full form is Development of Enterprise and the Services Hub. Gift City is a name given for the financial transaction, the large financial transaction के लिए लिया गया है. It's a Gujarat-based city. Specifically, all the head office of like the SEBI, PFRDA, RBI are established there, so that the investment process is smooth. Like everybody is getting the clearance on the day itself. Economies of scale meaning is here, like if we are producing the 100 goods and each good is costing us like 80 rupee. And if we are start producing the 1,000 goods and this rate reduced to the 10 rupee, and this is known as the economy of scale. Economy of scale, we are increasing the production and cost of our production is become very less after increasing the scale. OEM, other electronic manufacturers. दोनों बताता हूं मैं आपको एक बार. In the case of any country, if they are manufacturing of the, like the Foxconn का एग्जांपल लेते हैं, Foxconn is ताइवान कंपनी. अगर वो इंडिया में मैन्युफैक्चर करते हैं तो देन द अदर, अगर वो ताइवान में करते हैं देन द ओरिजिनल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मैन्युफैक्चरर. तो डिपेंड करता है कंट्री टू कंट्री. ओरिजिनल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मैन्युफैक्चरर. फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट. FDI is foreign direct investment. Done. Last 4-5 minutes. जिसका नहीं हुआ है कर लीजिए जल्दी. We have one more with us. Production linked incentive. Production linked incentive schemes. Original electronic manufacturers. हाँ, regional के perspective से क्या. Specifically, they are giving the example of Taiwan, China. ऐसा है. Electronic manufacturers. Pension fund regulatory. एक मिनट. ये पेंशन फंड रेगुलेटरी ऐसा कुछ है. डेवलपमेंट एसोसिएशन अथॉरिटी. डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी. Done. Okay, let's start with the editorials. What is important in the editorials and how to use the content. Electronic manufacturing. If we are coming to the first line of the editorial itself, despite India's scheme to promote clusters, these haven't really taken off. Also, a deep suspicion of China has put availability of the critical component at risk. So this can be a better conclusion, because this is the crux of the article. Even after the efforts of the government of India, even after the PLI schemes, even after the EMC schemes, even after the special economic zones, the electronic manufacturing are not boosting up in India. And it is shifting toward the China, and from China it is shifting toward some of the other countries, Vietnam and Malaysia. So that can be a better introduction. If there's a question related to the electronic manufacturing, sorry, conclusion, this can be the conclusion, best conclusion you can write. And if I coming to the headings below the photographs, with 20% of the global workforce taking fair share of electronics market will mean an export target at least $400 billion, which is equal to all our mechanized exports put together, and can create our 20 millions of jobs. Means the India government target, they are targeting approximately about the $100 billion, 100 billion, 110, 120. But there is a heading is given, small is not beautiful. So you can also use these kind of the quote in your answer. Means we should increase our target. So India, you can do the efforts of increasing their share in the electronic market. Okay. Now, before going to the article, anybody can tell me what is the outcome of the article? Kya seekha? What is the main important, 5 important thing in the article? वो policy. But after, if the industry do well, then only it can generate government scheme. That's a good point. Okay, reforming as you said, yes. That's also a good point. The political tussle between the China and Taiwan, you can use this as a case study. If there is a political between the China and Taiwan, maximum company of Taiwan are working in the China for the production. Same example you can give in the case of India and China ki India mein bhi aisa hona chahiye. If there is a tussle, but a trade should not be abrupt. Even in the case of the India and Pakistan. So these kind of the point, these kind of the example you can mention in your answer. Any other thing? Huh? Okay. लेकिन इसके आपने आर्ग्यूमेंट को सपोर्ट करने के लिए क्या लिखेंगे? Okay. Done? China supplies almost 50% of the domestic food billion. So China's rising faster, trade from China is rising faster. नहीं ठीक है. Everybody missed the last part, the case study of the Vietnam. Vietnam changed its policy, and more than the 60% of the Samsung start manufacturing in the Vietnam after China. This is the case study you can mention in any of the manufacturing related question. Even it's about the electronic manufacturing, even it's about the merchandise manufacturing, even it's about the shoe industry. So you can use these kind of the case study directly in your answer. And this will give you 1 mark extra than others. Okay, nobody can write these kind of the case study until and unless they are using the newspaper information very well. Okay, so let's start with the article, exactly what the article is saying. So in the first line, they are saying they are giving our overall view of the electronic market in the world. They are saying there are 2 trillion electronic market. $2 trillion electronic market in the world. Means almost the 70% of the India GDP. It's a huge market, and the India share is only the 1%. India's share in the market is only the 1%, and we should increase this share up to the 4 to 5%. This is the main idea behind the article, and the article is suggesting through which way we can do. They are also giving some of the example related to Vietnam, related to Malaysia, related to Thailand, and even they are giving the example of China. So this is the main crux of the article. They are specifically focused on the electronic industry. Then in the case of the, like, we are focusing specifically on the one kind of the products or the second kind of the products. The article is also suggesting us about diversification. Diversification of the policy also, and diversification of the product as well. How we can do diversify the different products, and how we can use the government policy in the manufacturing units, in the electronic units, in the special economic zones, and in the Desh Bill. That's what I introduced into the parliament. Then in the next case, we are saying the taxation policy. They criticize about the taxation policy. Like there is a different authority who was operating in India, which was operating in India and controlling a different part of the taxation policy. Some may be related to the manufacturing of the products. Some may be due to the sales of the products. Some may be when they're investing in the India from the FDI. So there are different kind of authority. It may be the RBI. It may be the SEBI. It may be the Tax Authority of India. It may be the PFRDA. There are different authority who are controlling the taxation policy. One is this issue. And the second issue, continuously change in the rates. Continuously change in the rates of the tax. This is also impacting the manufacturing unit in India. Any of the example in India through which like there is an issue related to the taxation policy recently? Koi bhi example? Gaming industry, yes. 28%, they're introducing a 28% GST into the gaming industry, which is completely ruining this industry. Means if you are investing the 100 rupee in the gaming, you will total investing the 72 rupee out of the 100 rupee. And they are charging this 28 on this 100 rupee, not on the outcome. Not on the outcome, but you are investing money. That means if you are investing the 100 in any game, you are investing finally the 72 rupee. So this is discouraging the industry also. Yes. Yeah. Online gaming. It's not on the offline gaming like cricket, hockey. It's on the fantasy gaming. Dream 11, you can say specifically. So taxation issue is also mentioned into the article. The next, if we are coming to the specifically, they're mentioning about some of the state-related hub where the new manufacturing units like the Samsung, world largest manufacturing plant now in India in Noida, and in the Tamil Nadu and Telangana, which are the largest hub for the electronic manufacturing in India. So whenever you're writing related to the electronic manufacturing, you can give specific zones related to the electronic manufacturing. You can directly give the examples of Telangana, Noida, and the Tamil Nadu. So these examples you can directly mention in your answer. Then in the case, then we discuss about the duties are the double-edged sword. Duties may be, these can be the anti-dumping. These may be the countervailing duty. These may be the other type of taxation. Duties on the raw material. Or there may be the restriction on the imports, like the recent restriction on the laptops. So there can be a different kind of the taxation structure of the country, which are directly or indirectly impacting the manufacturing units in India and also impacting the foreign direct investments. These duties are mentioned into the article. Whenever you are writing about what are the causes, why the manufacturing sector is not why the India shifted from agriculture to direct service sector. One is the policy. Second is the taxation structure, which are against the direct investment into the manufacturing sector. So this is also mentioned into the article. You can use these as an example when you're writing about the negative side of the manufacturing sector, why it's not picking up in India. Then in the next point, if we are coming, electronic exports climbed up to 6th highest exports. This is a positive side of the government, like the government starting the PLI scheme, production linked incentives. Even they are started with the PLI scheme with the each and every manufacturing sector. Even it's the pharmaceutical sectors, even it's the electronic sectors, even it's the any of the mercantile sectors. They started the PLI schemes. Production linked incentive means if you're producing more and you're producing a good quality of products, then the government will provide you an export subsidy related to it. So the production subsidy related to it. So you can export the product out the country and get the revenue for the country. So these PLI schemes give a fruitful result to the government. And the exports is increased up to the 23.5 billion. There's an increase in the export. This is mentioned in the article. So you can directly mention the data. If the question in the GS3 specifically, you can directly mention the data. The India's exports in the last year increased from the specifically from the 12 billion to 23 billion. So 20 billion to 23 billion according to data at that time. The use of the data in the question is the very important. Without data, if you're just writing, the export is increased. One person is writing, the export is increased. Another person is writing, export is increased by 10%, and now it is to 23.5 billion. So the impact on the examiner will change. He will assess your copy according to the data, and he will give you the extra marks in that. Then the China can be a frenemy, means they are giving the enemy to have, but they are new terms, frenemy. So you can also use these kind of a term in your paper. Like the first was small is beautiful. हमने हमेशा यही सुना है कि small is beautiful, but the article is saying small is not beautiful. Means if we are targeting only the $100 billion industry out of the 2 trillion, so it is not beautiful for the country. At least we need to be target the $400 billion industry. So you can use the small is not beautiful as a phrase in your answer. Even this can be used in your essay part also, whenever there is an essay related to the economy. When you are showing the economic angle there, so you can also use this kind of phrase in the essay as well. Then further, they are saying about the China as a frenemy, friend plus enemy. Frenemy means maybe we are having a political issue with the China. Maybe we are having a boundary related dispute with the China, but we should be focused on the manufacturing. We should focus on the trade. We should focus on the taxation structure. They specifically give the examples of Taiwan and the China, where the most of the companies of Taiwan are working into the China, specifically due to taxation issue. If the economy is going on, then there is no boundary related issue, no other political issue. Main issue is a trade. Agar trade khatam ho jata hai, then there will be the various issue into the country. So they are saying China can be used as a frenemy. So you can mention the example of China and Taiwan here. So means if there is a question related to the foreign policy of government, then you can give this example also. The government should focus on the trade as well, without focusing on the political ties, without issuing of the political ties. The trade should be continue with each country in the world. So we can develop our economy very well. So these data can be also used in the IR question in the GS2. Then if we are coming to the next point here, level playing field. Level playing field before 1990, there was a license Raj. There was a license Raj. If any of the manufacturer want to manufacture anything into the country, even it's a small thing, even it's a large thing, they should take a license from the government. And these licenses were very limited. These licenses were very limited, and they was given to the domestic manufacturers only. Because at that time, our economy was not open. But after the 1991, after the LPG reforms, our economy opened and we are start giving entry to the foreign company also. But in the article, there is a suggestion. Instead of substitution of import, there is a word given. Instead of substitution of import, our policy should be changed to export. Our policy should be changed to exports. Means nowadays what we are doing, let's decrease the import from other country. Let's decrease the import from China. Let's decrease the import from USA. Instead of focusing on let we export to China. This is not our policy. Our policy, let's import, let's substitute the import. Means we can produce utna hi produce kare jitna hame use ho. But we are not focusing on export perspective of the country. How much we can export. So this is also a phrase, the substitution of imports. We should focus on the export policy by the government of India instead of the only of the substitution. So you can use this in any of the manufacturing sector, any sector of the country. Even it's related to the electronic, even it's related to the agriculture, even it's related to any of the matter. Next, they are mentioning about the government policy. They also give the example of the gift city. When you are mentioning about the positive steps taken by the government, number one is the gift city. Here, all the major organizations, even it's the RBI, even it's the SEBI, even it's the PFRDA, all are present in this office. And the person who want to invest in India can directly get the clearance from these office. And the next they are giving about the Desh bill. This is pending in the parliament, but the government is focusing on making this bill for the development of the manufacturing sector, specifically in India. Then this article is telling us about what is the outcome. What is the outcome if these electronic manufacturing units start in India? The outcome is they are specifically focusing on the employment. It is specifically having a direct impact on the employment. So whenever there's a question related to the employment in a paper, you can also give a suggestion related to it. If we are manufacturing on specifically related to the electronic sector, because it's contribute almost $2 trillion industry in the world. If the India is contributing almost 5-6% of this industry, then it can generate the million of employment. You can give this suggestion, you can write this in the way forward. And if you are supporting your argument with the data, argument with data means you have a good knowledge of the topic, and the examiner just see the data and he will give you the good marks. Otherwise, if you are writing just the argument, ऐसा हो सकता है. But if you are giving the data, इतना % हो सकता है, means you are writing a good point there. That's a requirement in your answer writing. And the next, if we are coming to the labor can be treated as an adult. This is also the major issue in India, the child labor law. Child labor, one of the issue. The second issue in India is the shift. Third issue is the limited working hours. Means the article is saying we need to be reforms our labor law also. If we are doing specifically child labor, ki below the 14 years of age cannot work in the hazardous industry, but it can work into the other industry for the production. The shifting time, we are working for the 8 hours in India, only in the policy, but we are working for 10-12 hours. The article is saying we need to be shift, give the, like if the person is working for the 8 hours, he can also work for the 12 hours. We can incentivize this person. If this person is having the good skills. So means we need to be with our labor law, हमें flexible होना पड़ेगा. We cannot be stick to the one point कि this cannot be happen in India, but we should be flexible with our labor law. So you can use this point in the social justice also. When there is a question related to the labor. In GS3 economy, when there is a question related to labor, when there is a question related to skill development, so you can use these points there. And finally, the very good point related to the Vietnam case study. Vietnam case study. Here they saying in 2008, Vietnam removed local content requirement on the FDI. Local content requirement means anybody? Like आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि if any company is opening their office in Haryana, they should employ 60% of Haryana in their company. They should take some of the raw material from Haryana. They will give the 30% of the employee to the India. Land लेंगे, they will give some of the rent to the Haryana. So the Vietnam removed all these things. जो locally चाहिए, ऐसा हमें चाहिए नहीं. You can set up the unit there. You can start producing the manufacturing units for the electronic products, and slowly we can develop a ecosystem there so that we can use our labor force also. And this is also a question mark. If our labor force is very skilled, then why the company will not take our labor? If we have much skilled related to that product, why they will not take it up? So this means this is a question mark on the government roles. This is a question mark on the government policy, the government education policy also. Why they are making itna aapko lena hi padega. So these are the question mark on the government policy also. So there was a quote in the newspaper, subsidy are the fake development. मैंने पहले भी बताया. Subsidies are the fake development. Means we are providing the subsidy to the population. हमने कुछ काम ही नहीं किया. If we are providing the subsidy on the PDS, हम 5 किलो राशन दे रहे हैं, means हमने उनको ऐसा स्किल ही नहीं दिया कि वो 5 किलो राशन कमा सके महीने का. So these are the fake development by the country, by the government. So these kind of the quote you can use in your essay. These are only from the newspaper. Small is not beautiful, only from the newspaper. So this is the usage of the newspaper content, how we can use the content, how we can read the article, how we can focus on the different kind of data. This is the requirement of the examination. If you are reading just for the sake of the reading, सबके हाथ में न्यूज़पेपर दिखता है for just for the sake of the reading कि हमने ये पढ़ लिया, that's not important. If you are reading just a single editorial daily, not much requirement, only a single editorial, but read with the perspective of the exam, where I am going to use this, how this is linking to my syllabus, from which part I can use this data, If you have these question mark when you are reading, you will always end up with the good content. Otherwise, हम पढ़ते चले जाएंगे. We don't know where to use. This market is flooded up with the material. तो उसको ही segregate करना है. If you are doing these exercise, you will be always end up with the good materials, good skills, good answer writing skill, good case study, good examples, good data. That is required for the examination. Okay, so there is a question related to it. You can try to write this. What are the key factors? Question is, what are the key factors needed for the rapid growth of electronic manufacturing in India? What are the key factors needed for the rapid growth of electronic manufacturing in India? Also, list down the, also evaluate the government policies related to electronic sector. What are the key factors needed for the rapid growth of the electronic development in India? Also evaluate the government policy related to this sector. This is a 15-marker question. The question has the two parts. First part, what are the factors? Second part, what are the government policy? Evaluation means you will write the positive and the negative side of the policy. If there is a policy related to the PLI, what is the positive side and what is the negative side? So you will write those in the second part of the answer. Whenever you are starting the answer, please break the question into multiple parts. Like we are breaking the board into two parts here. One is the factors, second is the government policy. And further, we are breaking the government policy into two parts. One is the positive side of the policy and the negative side of the policy. If we are breaking the question in the multiple parts, there will be coherence into the answer. Otherwise, we will be end up, पहले हम ये लिख रहे हैं, फिर ये लिख रहे हैं, फिर ये लिख रहे हैं. There should be coherence into the answer also. If you read this, अब आपने ये article पढ़ा, there was a coherence. The article first giving the data, then they are listing down the problems, then they are showing how that can be overcome, and finally they are giving the case study. This is a type of the answer I can say. If there is a question on the electronic manufacturing, you can quote directly this article. This is the kind of the ready-made answer for you. Having the data, having the example, having the case study, having the good introduction, having the good conclusion. So this is required whenever you are reading any of the editorial in the question paper. You are also having the second editorials. This is a smaller one. It will take not more than 10 minutes to read you about the India and the Bangladesh. About India and Bangladesh. The article is what connects India and Bangladesh. So there was a question in the last year. India and Sri Lanka are the old age friend. What is the support by the India in the recent crisis to the Sri Lanka? So there can be a specific question on the Bangladesh also. If you analyze the international relation question, always there is a one question from the neighboring country. Even it's the Bangladesh, even it's the China, even Sri Lanka. So there will be always a one question from the neighboring country. It can be the question of the SAARC or it can be question of the BIMSTEC also. So you can read this article. In the first part of the article, there is a political thing. Kaun aaya, kaun gaya. But in the second part of the article, there is a good relation between the India and Bangladesh are there. They're telling us about the water-related dispute, telling us about the boundary dispute also. So you can read this article within the 10-15 minutes. So we can say how we can use this article there. This is from the Indian Express. Yes, this is from the Indian Express. And day before yesterday, there was an article related to the sugarcane production. That is a very good article. There can be direct question on it. How the higher production of the sugarcane can backfire to the country. This is in the Indian Express. How many Indian states share the boundary with the Bangladesh? How many Indian states share the boundary with the Bangladesh? Name. It was a question in the prelims. Tripura, Meghalaya, Assam, West Bengal. Four states. West Bengal, Assam, Tripura, and Meghalaya. So these simple questions are also asked by the UPSC. तो ये आपको एक आइडिया होना चाहिए क्या क्या है. On Thursday, we are also have a class. This will be the monthly compilation. You will get the PDF of all the important article of the last month. Plus, I will discuss the map related issue here in the last month. क्या क्या maps का related news में था, तो we will discuss. Yes, Shayak. किसमें? इंडिया के साथ किसका? बांग्लादेश सरप्लस में, वी आर इन सरप्लस. Bangladesh value is 2 billion and the India value is 16 billion. बांग्लादेश के साथ जो टाई अप फ्रेंड्स को बोलते हैं, जो बांग्लादेश में रहते हैं उनको एक स्पेसिफिक नाम दिया गया, बंग बंधु. लाइक इंडिया चाइना भाई भाई, सिमिलर इट्स लाइक अ फ्रेज फॉर द बांग्लादेश, बंग बंधु. इससे पहले जब बांग्लादेश नहीं फॉर्म हुआ था बिफोर 1971, इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ द ईस्टर्न पाकिस्तान. उस टाइम पे द फादर ऑफ द शेख हसीना हैव अ गुड रिलेशन विद द इंडिया, दैट्स व्हाई इट टर्म्ड एट द बंग बंधु स्पेसिफिकली. ठीक है, दैट्स द डॉटर ऑफ शेख हसीना, दैट्स व्हाई. Due to time constraint, I am only studying editorials and referring the daily updates. Yes, it's okay if you're reading the editorial from the paper and referring the material from the website, it's okay. There are some of the name of the places like Petropol, Benapol, Darshana, Bairol, Radhikapur. These are important for your prelims. They're asking the some of the questions related to places in news. They will just give a simple question. Bairol, Benapol, and the Petropol was recently mentioned in the news. These are in which of the following country? Simple question just. वो तो अभी पता है ना. At the time of the examination, you will not find it out. If you're reading one editorial daily, means in a year you are reading 365 editorials. You are covering almost 300 topics. Means half of the GS, specifically GS2, GS3. अगर if you note आप लिखते नहीं हो तो नहीं याद रहेगा. That means if you are reading an editorials, please try to write it down. There will be homework for you. Please try to write this editorial in half an page and the same for this editorial in half an page. So you have a complete idea how to write in the short forms and what's the important for the UPSC. Until and unless you are writing, there is no use of reading also. You can follow that editorial that we are uploading on the website. You will find the link of the editorial on the website and also the explanation part there. And that editorial is also followed by a mains question in daily basis. You can also try to write that question also. हाँ, CEPA country specific होता है. It's like a different country have a different kind of the free trade agreements. It's a type of the trade agreements, and both the country will agree with the some of the issue, some of the type of the taxation condition like a 5% we will charge on these products. So the condition will vary, but the name can be the same. Done? Okay, so before discussing the article, let's write a question first that you will write. Evaluate the historical evolution of India-Bangladesh relation, evaluate the historical evolution of India and Bangladesh relation, and assess the key factors that have contributed to enhancing bilateral cooperation between the two neighboring countries. Bilateral cooperation between the two neighboring countries. So you should write in the form of the positive side also. What are the positive relation between India and Bangladesh, and what are the negative sides? Like in the negative sides, you can write about the cattle smuggling, radicalization against India, illegal migration of Rohingya, Tista water issue, and the Chinese influence in the Bangladesh. These are the 5 negative sides. Some of the positive sides you can take it from the article. Other positive side like the cultural tie-ups, cultural festivals between India and Bangladesh, regional connectivity and the infrastructure between India and Bangladesh. So you can think it upon. Okay, so let's come to the article. In the first half of the article, there is no much information. Even you can skip these paragraphs. आपको history के बारे में पता है बांग्लादेश की. So like first 3 paragraph is not required here. But in the next page, there is Bangladesh completed the 50 years in 2021. Now it's a 52nd year anniversary between India and Bangladesh. So first is they are writing about the economic perspective. The trade between India and Bangladesh, and India is on the positive sides, the $16 billion and the $2 billion respectively. And there's a trade agreement between the India and Bangladesh. They're saying about CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. There can be a different kind of the trade agreement like the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. There can be different kind of free trade agreement with Dubai, with the UK. So their name is vary. Then they are writing it's about the how the Bangladesh is important for the integrity of India, in specifically in the Northeast. So the role of the Bangladesh in the Northeast, like the Manipur crisis, what's the role of Bangladesh is there also. Then there's a name of the places are given when they're talking us about the electricity supply. Now there's also a recent project of the Adani in the Jharkhand, which supply electricity directly to the Bangladesh. So this is the one project also added. This is not given in the article. And then they're talking us about the river disputes. River disputes, they are writing us about specifically about the Tista water sharing agreement. They're also writing about the Feni river, and they're given the some of the 6 rivers, Manu, Mahuri, Kovai, Gomti, Dharla, and the Durkumar. So these are the rivers you can easily remember, and maybe they can ask the question from it. Like if you see the question paper of 2018, 2019, there was a question related to the river specifically asked about the tributaries. There can be a question in it. So need to be extract the information from here. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आपके सामने दिखेगा, but you need to be extract the information what is important here. So specifically in this article, the one thing is the economic relation. First, they are writing about the economic partnership or the economic relation. Second, they are writing about the water dispute. Water dispute about the Feni river, about the Tista river. Then they are also writing about here the electricity projects. Fourth, about the connectivity in the Northeast. These are the major heads in the article they're talking us about. So you need to be right whenever there is a question related to the India-Bangladesh relation. So there can be a specific question related to socio-economic relation also, about the strategic presence of the Bangladesh in the Northeast, What's the role of Bangladesh in the maintaining the peace in the Northeast India? About the connectivity of the Bangladesh in the Northeast India. So there can be the various dimension there. Here, only the one dimension, the positive sides of dimension are given. But in the question that I asked here, there you need to be right about all the dimensions. What you need to evaluate specifically about the relation between India and Bangladesh. You need to be right about here. What are the positive aspects? You will list down these 4 and the other 5, 6 also. And in the negative aspects, what are the issues? The Chinese influence, the Rohingya issue, the water related issue, the boundary disputes. So you need to be right down there. So from these kind of the editorials, you can enrich your content. We shared a list of almost 20 editorials for the last month in your Telegram group. अगर अभी तक नहीं आया तो अभी आ जाएगा. That's a 21 editorials of the July month we shared in your group. So I will say please try to read those editorials because it's almost covering the 5-6 subjects. There are the 5-6 editorial on the international relation, 3-4 editorials on the economics, some on the geography also. So these are the editorials taken from the different newspaper. We are not stick only to the Hindu and the Indian Express, but we are covering the 6-7 newspapers from where we can find the best content. So please try to read that article and try to write the answers. Each editorial is having a one question behind it. So please try to write the answer. And one homework, you will summarize these articles into half a page. Summarize these articles in half page. So you can learn how to write the answer in 150 words. Because in UPSC, you need only 150 words for the 10 marker. 150 words means 25 words introduction, 100 words body, and 25 words conclusion. This is only requirement. We cannot write more than this. In the 15 marker, we need to write the 250 words, and total is the 4,000 words in the 180 minutes. Not possible. Means we need to reduce it 140 or it's to 230. Then only we can complete the paper. So लोग भर के answers लिखते हैं, that is not required. So try to learn the skill, how to concise the content, how to enrich the content, and then we can work on the presentation of the answer. So these can be the sequence we can follow. So there will be a class on Thursday with the same timing. We will cover the mapping area. And on Friday, there is a regular class of the current affairs for the weekly one. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. One minute.